y'all. So I have a night thought for everyone. A little different than some of my other ones. I will say, um, with regard to election 2024, I am incredibly excited to watch the Democratic National Convention next week. Again, I am a nerd about a lot of these things, a real government politics geek, and have been watching the conventions for years. I used to watch both conventions up until, of course, um, 2020. I did watch in 2016 and or in the nomination of the first nomination of 45, but after that, I was not watching their convention anymore. I feel like at this point you've told me what you think of me, and so I'm gonna mind my business and keep it moving. Um, but am excited to watch next week, and I'm sure we'll have lots of thoughts coming out of that. But tonight, what is on my mind? So my sister has gone down this fabulous little rabbit hole on YouTube where she is watching. There's like this never ending sort of, I guess, group of content creators who watch movies like Tubi movies, black movies, movies with black people in it, and do their reviews, right? And so you know how YouTube works. You watch one thing and you're going to get, information about anything that falls in that line. So she is down into the weeds of that. And, so of course I get to hear about all of the reviews and the movies that she's heard about every day because I don't mess with Tubi. Once I found out that Tubi is owned by the Murdochs, like the Fox News Murdochs, no thank you. I don't, them people don't need no information about me. It's good enough that I know that they exist. But it's fascinating to me because the how she got down this rabbit hole is she was watching or watched a couple of reviews of Tyler Perry's latest movies like Divorce in Black and Mea Culpa, or Mea Culpa apparently, and she has given me the plot summary of both of those movies. And listen, I'm not gonna do a video bashing Tyler Perry. I haven't watched a Tyler Perry movie or a show or whatever in years. Because again, he's one of those people who have told us that he ain't gonna do nothing different. He's not capable of doing nothing different. So leave him alone. So I'm gonna mind my black owned business, and you don't need no feedback from me because you don't want it. You don't want it, and you're not gonna take it. But I do some of the. I've watched a couple of the reviews of Divorce in Black, and yeah, that ugh, wow. Anyways, but what my thought for tonight is, after thinking about Tyler Perry and his movies, and I will say the last movie that I watched, or really the only movie that I watched, and I actually went to the theater to watch this, which is crazy, that I actually enjoyed of Tyler Perry's was The Family That Prays. And I did, I mean, I watched it once. It's not something that I watch all the time. It's one of those one and done's for me, which is, when I like something, I will watch it over and over again. But I did enjoy that movie that he made. But beyond that, um, but what I started thinking about with thinking about Tyler Perry and some of the other reviews of the from the other content creators about some of the movies on Tubi and some of those other things is the movie Boomerang that stars Eddie Murphy. It came out in 1992, and how Boomerang is actually better than anything Tyler Perry has ever done. And so I started jotting down some reasons why I say this. and why I say that that movie is better than anything Tyler Perry has ever done. So, one, all-star black cast, right? And I know you're like, well, Tyler Perry, do. Anyway, it's an all-star black cast, and the depth and diversity of the people in Boomerang is just, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, you've got Martin Lawrence, you've got Eddie Murphy, Robin Givens, Halle Berry, Tisha Campbell, David Allen Greer, Chris Rock is in it, Eartha Kitt, for God's sake, is in it, um, uh, Grace Jones. I mean, and just, I mean, John Witherspoon. I mean, this list of black actors, black comedians in that movie. And so that in itself makes it great, right? And when I say the diversity piece, like the yes, they are all comedians. I mean, Robin Givens, Halle Berry, not comedians, but there's just a diversity of style and even look and all of that. And then you had the whole matchup with Robin Givens and Halle Berry, because in the 90s, for black women, the long straight hair versus short hair was a big thing. Like there, we were at odds for some reason behind whether you had long hair or short hair. And so, so that matchup in itself and pitting those two together with these against each other with these two different looks was hilarious to me. Um, the other reason why I would say another reason why I would say Boomerang is better than anything Tyler Perry's ever done, ever, is, like I said, Eartha Kitt and Grace Jones, who are iconic. I mean, and 1992, this was not like, oh, let me go Google if you don't know who Eartha Kitt is. Like, yes, I knew she had been Catwoman, but sort of her history in Hollywood and how she'd been blacklisted and just the magnitude of having somebody like Eartha Kitt involved with this movie. I did not realize that in 1992. And now sitting here and realizing that, like, I mean, you're watching almost like a Dorothy Dandridge type person in this movie. Like, that was so cool to me. And even Grace Jones, who is also a style icon, who I did not know that much about, and just sort of her deep blackness and, oh God, like sitting here now in hindsight, realizing what it meant to have those two women in that movie, is just, it's really powerful. My third reason is that Boomerang is better than anything Tyler Perry's ever done is every character in Boomerang was like upwardly mobile. Like they were able to stand on their own. They were financially stable. I mean, yes, I mean, I don't know what Tisha Campbell did other than be really mad and yelling. But I mean, she had her own place. She lived right next to Marcus. She wasn't asking him for nothing other than, she wanted to get back with him. But, I mean, everybody was upwardly mobile, standing on their own, living their best life and able to fix and address anything in their life that they didn't like. And so that was really, it was positive at the time, and that was not something that in 1992 we were seeing at all. My fourth reason, and I'm going to say, and I've kind of talked about it with Eartha Kitt and Grace Jones, but the women in that movie, like I said, I mean, Tisha Campbell was hilarious in that movie. You've got Robin Givens, who was at top of her game right then. Halle Berry, who was like one of the most beautiful black women on the planet at the time. And I mean, she still is, but like she was it at that time. You've got Eartha Kitt in this movie. You've got Grace Jones, like I said. You have just this really strong group of women. Layla Rashawn was in that movie. This strong group of just beautiful black women of different shades, different hairstyles, and different, even more dramatic actresses versus comedians. But the women in that movie were real anchors and just, part of the beauty of why that movie was so fantastic. I will also say that everyone, and this is my fifth reason, every actor, when you think about all of the people, even from Chris Rock, who was just pushing the little mail cart, every actor had their moment. Like they had their moment to be funny. There were no like, oh, I forgot. I mean, you could forget that some people were in it, but they all had their moment if you think about them in that movie. And that was I think that's such an unselfish thing for Eddie Murphy to do, and not to take all of the moments for himself or the top build cast, and to make sure everybody, even from the bit players, had their moment in that movie. Again, better than anything Tyler Perry's ever done. Um, the I think I'm on five. Yeah. Um, the Boomerang really did feature a friendship between black men that we don't see all the time. We don't see, like, Marcus, David Allen Greer, and Martin were real friends. And that when they had that breakup of the friendship between David Allen Greer and Eddie Murphy, like, you felt that. Like, man, because he was wrong. Marcus was wrong. But, and then wanting to get that love back together, and Martin planned to go between, but that real friendship where they went to each other's house, they were spending Thanksgiving together, they hung out with each other's parents. Like, that was a real friendship that you did not see all the time highlighted as really featured in a movie, even a black movie. Yes, we had the brothers and that kind of thing, but that I thought that was really cool for a comedy to make sure that he had that centered and central in that movie. I want to stop at six, but I have to say before I go to six, again, one of the things that made Boomerang so good, and again, I will say better than anything Tyler Perry's ever done, the soundtrack. The Boomerang soundtrack is still the hit today. Like, I listen to, if a song from that soundtrack comes on, if I just want to listen to the entire soundtrack, it is so good, and it is going to take you to a place. So special shout out to the Boomerang soundtrack for sure. I don't even know if Tyler Perry movies have soundtracks. They probably don't need them, but listen, he could do anything he wants to bolster some of that nonsense. And then the last thing, number six, of why I think Boomerang is better than anything Tyler Perry's ever done, it had a happy ending, and not like a forced happy ending. It had a happy ending. I mean, I'd love to revisit and see how Marcus is doing, because he has some tendencies, but they got to walk away hand in hand, and you like, oh wow, maybe they can repair this relationship and rebuild. So I just thought that, and it wasn't like a contentious, it was a very realistic but storybook ending, which was nice to see even after everything that had happened. But again, this was a movie made in 1992. I think that was, Lord, that was my first year in high school. But I could sit down, I feel like I can sit down, and I will sit down and watch Boomerang today and just still enjoy it. It holds up. Even the one movie that of Tyler Perry's that I will say that I watched, I went to the big theater to see it. Look, I'm not watching that movie again and again. Like, and I mean, 10 years, 20 years from now, would I watch that? Probably not. But this movie, which is another reason, but Boomerang holds up. It holds up. It still brings joy. There's still relevant topics within the movie that you like. And the last thing I'll say that is, maybe it's a number 7. I looked it up because Boomerang did have a black director, and Eddie Murphy wrote the story, but he had 2 screenwriters, white guys, that adapted it for the screen. And I know that that's been a criticism of Mr. Perry, that he writing his own stuff. Maybe just write the story and get somebody to adapt it for the screen to help with some of your movies. But clearly Eddie Murphy had enough sense to do that, and then he was able to create what I would say is a masterpiece with Boomerang. So those are my night thoughts. Again, I'm not look, I don't make movies. I'm not trying to tell that man how to make movies. He has made his own decisions, but I will say if you want to see a good black movie with an all black cast, yes, it was made a while ago, but Boomerang is still a great movie. Just saying. All right, y'all. Night night.